New this week from DC Comics, Zatanna, Bring Down the House, issue number 1, story by Mariko Tamaki, art by Javier Rodriguez. There is something so special and noteworthy about a comic that you simply trust from the first page. And I think that my confidence to this new DC Black Label series can be attributed to a couple key factors. First of all, the very existence of a Zatanna exclusive series is alluring and praiseworthy for longtime DC Comics fans, who have seen Zatanna's character evolve in numerous ways over the last decade. As one of the few characters in the DC Comics pantheon that wield magic and interact with paranormal entities and places, any Zatanna-focused story is a chance for something innovative and whimsical given her classic design and charismatic personality. No offense to Batman, but I'm really happy that Zatanna has moved on to her own pursuits as opposed to being a regular Batman Comics cameo. Though I do love their friendship, and honestly, now I'm really surprised that Ram V hasn't included her in his current Legendary Detective Comics run, because he was also the writer of Justice League Dark. Secondly, I have faith in the consistent quality of writer Mariko Tamaki, who still doesn't seem to have the recognition she deserves. As a writer for big titles like Detective Comics, Wonder Woman, and She-Hulk at Marvel. In all of these titles, Tamaki has demonstrated her rich understanding of character and introduced engaging new ideas that fall outside of the traditional superhero narrative, which is what makes her decision to tell a Zatanna story for her Black Label series so intriguing. I wonder if this is a story that she's been sitting on for some time and needed to get popular in order to be approved to do. Finally, the most thrilling aspect of this title has to be the art stylings of Javier Rodriguez, who has swiftly become one of my favorite comic book artists of all time, for reasons that the first issue of Zatanna illustrates. Pun intended. If you're looking for a more thorough exploration of Javier Rodriguez's comic book catalog, then I have to highlight Al Ewing's Defender series, 2 volumes from 2021, that will fundamentally change your perception of what an artist is able to achieve on a page. Rodriguez's unique layouts, collages, and perspectives create entire worlds that you want to dive into. And his partnership on this series featuring a magical heroine is an inspired choice that can only amount to visual masterpieces. Let's dive into Zatanna, Bring Down the House, issue number 1, which means spoilers ahead. Off the bat, Tamaki establishes that this story is going to dive into and be revealing of Zatanna's origins in magic, as we see a young Zatanna performing a simple magic trick for her friends. However, one of Zatanna's so-called friends is unimpressed and teases her, egging her on to perform real magic. In classic fashion, this relatively simple setup is rendered gorgeously by Javier Rodriguez, with intricate layering and fluid moving shapes that feel more reminiscent of classic fantasy adventure comic book covers as opposed to individual panels. Young Zatanna appeals to her father, who is shrouded in an extravagantly flamboyant magical room like the Sorcerer Supreme himself, and does not appear too responsive to his daughter's persistent questions about real magic. We then cut to the present day where Zatanna is preparing for her show on the Las Vegas Strip. It is such a great setting for this story, evoking classic showbiz imagery, and instilling the idea of the transient dichotomy of magic as a natural art and a trick of the trade. As she arrives at her theater, Zatanna is approached by a talent agent hounding her to switch venues for her act, a request that Zatanna haughtily declines. Now in the wings of the theater backstage, Zatanna is disturbed to see the same audience member that has seen her show 7 times arriving, remarking as such to her stage manager, who seems kind of too busy to care. We then see a glimpse of Zatanna's show with a dazzling 2-page spread and then the not-so-glamorous afterword of autograph signing, where Zatanna assures her young fan that she doesn't do any real magic, just tricks. Flashing back, we then see what became of young Zatanna's pursuit of real magic as she inadvertently evaporates the friend that was mocking her. I love that this first issue is playing with the idea of imagination versus reality in a number of different ways. Whether it be young Zatanna's expectation of magic, or Zatanna's suspicion of the audience member, or the lackluster truth of an outwardly glamorous profession. In a flash, as I would imagine would be the reality for a lot of Las Vegas performers, at the opening of the evening show, where Zatanna is once again perplexed and annoyed to see that returning audience member who she now considers a stalker. Fed up, Zatanna directly confronts the audience member, who seems to subtly forewarn her about her impending fate, before being interrupted by the emergence of a colossal creature on stage who heads towards Zatanna with malicious intent. In the same moment, the audience member mystifyingly informs Zatanna that she knows what she's been doing with him, to which Zatanna says, "Who?" And she says, "Your father." And Zatanna says, "My father's dead." And the audience member says, "Yeah, I know you killed him." It's a great cliffhanger that leaves us with more questions than answers, as befits a magical tale. I, for one, am excited to see how psychedelic and cerebral this tale is liable to become as we intimately dive into Zatanna's past. Please support your local comic book stores and grab Zatanna, Bring Down the House, issue number 1, on shelves now. Tell me that you're an insane artist without telling me that you're an insane artist. Look at how clever this panel is. Look how much emotion it packs in. Look at the strangeness, the colors. Like, this is just Zatanna going about her day, but I've already fallen in love with the way this world is rendered. If this is the kind of pages we're getting for the magic show, then I can't wait for when we see real magic. If you came for the hot magic lady, you're gonna stay for the insane creature design. I'd love to know in the comments what other niche DC character you'd like to see get their own Black Label series.